I want to talk about, you know, part of rewiring and all this stuff is getting away from the things of this world. We look at Ephesians 4 where it says, "Finally, brethren, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is of good repute, if there's any excellence, and if anything worthy of praise, dwell on these things. The things you have learned and received and heard and seen in me, practice these things, and the God of peace will be with you." What is that has to do with Torah. Whatever is good, loving our neighbor and caring for each other, and it was based on an agricultural society. What love looks like in an agricultural society. And we need to focus on that instead of and reading this book and living, more important, just reading this book and living this book. And then you read in Romans 8, starting in verse 4, Romans 8 verse 4, it says, "So that the requirement of the law might be fulfilled in us, who do not walk according to the flesh, but according to the Spirit. For those who are according to the flesh set their minds on the things of the flesh, but those according to the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. For the mind set on the flesh is death, but the mind set on the Spirit is life and peace. Because the mind set on the flesh is hostile toward God, for it does not subject itself to the law of God, for it is not even able to do so. And those who are in the flesh cannot please God." So, is it of the Spirit or of the flesh to sit and watch TV for hours and hours and hours? Or to listen to the worldly music with the worldly beats? And if you look at what these people believe that make the movies, that make the music, that's the heart of where this stuff comes from. Whether they're channeling when it comes to movies especially, or whether they're being influenced by demons and music and things like that. And people will say, "Oh, well, you're a prude, we don't have to worry about that. We can indulge in this stuff and not be affected." But when it puts you in a hypnotic state, it's affecting the subconscious. You're turning off your frontal lobe. It's turning off your frontal lobe and influencing you. How is it that we can recite songs and sing songs and just hear little bits of them and sing songs, or watch a movie and recall it, watch bits and pieces of a movie and recall the whole thing or something, but we can't read the Scripture, we can't live the Scripture? Scripture comes alive when you have a garden. Teaches you faith when you plant the seeds and you water and you water and you water, and it takes anywhere from a week to like 3 weeks for the seeds to germinate, and you're sitting there wondering, are they going to germinate, or are they going to germinate? That's teaches us about faith. If the plant doesn't grow firm roots, the heat will kill it and it'll die. Or if it doesn't get water, and yet, what are we doing? where are we spending our time? Are we spending it? We're spending it in front of the TV most of the time, or the computer. Computers can be just as bad. I would encourage you to watch a documentary called Captivated, Freeing Yourself in a Media Captive Culture, and how people go on media fast, and there's a camp for kids where they don't have access to electricity and they have to do everything. They learn to play cards and to do other things to occupy their time to do things instead of sitting in front of TV or listening to music all the time. Not that music is a bad thing, but what kind of music? What is coming across? What is being communicated in the music, and is it that it's taking us away from God? I would also encourage you to watch the Media on the Brain seminar put out by Belt of Truth Ministries, and from Little Light Ministries, the series Battlefield Hollywood. What Hollywood is putting in their movies. Like, for example, one of the things that they use in one of the videos in that series from Little Light Ministries, Little Light Studios, it says that he asked the audience about Fight Club, where does it mention God? And I would encourage you to look at that. Well, where he shows where it mentions God, and it mentions God in where Andrew Norton is hanging about ready to fall whoever he plays, and then Brad Pitt is there and talking about that God doesn't love you and all this stuff, and it's like, we watch this kind of stuff, and movies, they do channeling. Well, what good? And we're put into a trance when we watch this stuff in a dark room, and the scene changes and all this stuff. How is that? How does that help us? I can tell you personally, when I watch TV, there's times where I struggle more when I sit down and watch TV, and I don't like to watch TV. I don't want to watch TV anymore. It's just like I don't want to drink. I don't want to drink sodas anymore. I have no interest in the flavored sugar water. I have no interest in sweets. But it's a retraining. All this stuff is retraining. But TV and the movies and the music, the worldly music, that's a major distraction. He can't keep you from, Hasatan can't keep you from reading this book or from living it. But he can distract you. And that's what has happened in our culture. We've become so distracted, burnt out, and we sit there and watch movies. I believe that's why we've become a soundbite culture. Is because we sit and watch movies and they try to tell a story in an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. They try to tell a whole life story in that time. Or things where the fast scene changes and it's hard to make sense of what is going on, or they start stories and then they don't finish them, and they start more stories and they don't finish them. That's classic hypnosis from my understanding. And basically you're looking at a blinking light watching TV or watching a movie. We have to be transformed. do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed. But how can we be transformed when we're sitting and watching TV and or spending all the time on the internet? How can we be transformed when we do that? Personally, I would much rather spend my time in this book. As much as I love to learn about history and different things, I need to be in the book. I need to be focused on the things that are good and honorable. And then I won't live in the flesh. Like Christ said, you are in this world, but not of this world. That's the whole part of being set apart. And yes, people may say, "Oh well, why are you doing that? Why do you not eat pork? Why do you keep the Sabbath? Why do you keep the holy days? All this stuff." That's not culture. It's culture to go veg out in front of movies and keep Christmas and Easter. That's nothing but the sin of Jeroboam all over again. Jeroboam changed the times in the seasons and gave him a golden calf to worship. You can look at the golden calf incident in Exodus when they came when they were at Sinai, and they did the golden calf incident, and many people were killed. Sin and disobedience has its consequences. Yes, there is Yeshua, but that doesn't give us a license to sin. And we sit down and watch these movies and stuff, and that gets in our brain. It turns off our frontal lobe. Where's the mark? It's right here. The frontal lobe, the reasoning center, the judgment center. So I just hope this is encouraging to look at what you do and how you live. I know it can make all the difference. It has for me. I can't stand to watch TV much anymore. Shalom, shalom, and may Allah bless and keep you and make His face shine upon you and give you His peace. Give you peace.